Hi, my name is Rene. I'm in São Paulo, Brazil right now. And first of all, I'd like to dedicate this video to three sources of inspiration. Radiolab, Jeb and Robert, Brain Pickings, Maria Popova, and also my friends at Singularity University. I'd like to share a story with you. It's all about inspiration and it's all about transformation. It's nothing fancy, but it's definitely something extraordinary. It's not something like Pinky and the Brain idea, but I hope it inspires you. That's the least I can do to thank you for all the inspiration you have given me all those years. A couple of years ago, I met two people from a very interesting institution in Brazil. It's called Casas André Luiz. They do a wonderful job for over 60 or 70 years. And they have hundreds and hundreds of patients. And some of them are in a very complicated situation. Some of them have never been able to utter a word. They are not able to speak. Some of them can't move, maybe only move their eyes, or nod their heads, or wave their hands. But some of those patients for 30, for 40 years, they were completely isolated from us. And these people in Casas André Luiz, they discovered something that actually was the subject of a Radiolab show about bliss. Bliss is a methodology developed by a wonderful person that uses symbols that correspond to words, sort of a universal language, a graphic language. And this institution, they started using those symbols, trying to communicate with those people who have never spoken. And very slowly they managed to educate, to teach the patients and also themselves how to communicate using those symbols. And what do you expect? People that are completely isolated for decades. If you open that Pandora's box, what do they have to say? I would expect some kind of frustration or sadness or anger, but on the contrary, what they had to share was optimism, was joy, was love, was hope. That was amazing. But beyond that, what those wonderful guys at Casas André Luiz did, they transcribed what those guys had to say, and some of those guys started to write poems, poetry, or short articles, or tell their lives. And those stories were so touching and so moving that the people at Casas André Luiz created a blog, and they published those stories so everybody could read them. This is wonderful, at least for me. I always get emotional when I talk about that. In several different ways. First of all, those guys were isolated, and it was not only, it was a very simple and basic technology, symbols, and people trying to communicate using that. And also blogs and the internet being used not for, funny videos, cats or whatever, but to show the whole humanity what those guys had to say. And the most interesting thing is, when I met these people, they were not looking for, any kind of material support. What they told me, Rene, you know what those guys need? I say, you tell me. And they said, the most important thing for those guys is when somebody visits the blog and leaves a comment, or press like, or something like that. Whenever that happens, those comments, they print it and they read it loud to those patients, and they get so happy. It was so simple. I remember that they told me a story. Somebody was so touched by those poems and everything that it was a reporter or something like that. She visited the institution and met those guys personally, and she was really fascinated, and she asked to one of those guys, "What can I do for you?" And he said, very slowly because he had to use the symbols. He said, I'm okay, I don't need anything. I have everything I need, those people are taking care of me. If you want to do something relevant, pay attention to the homeless people around your work, around the place you live. There's a lot of people out there who are not as happy as I am. Wow, that was really amazing. And that's what I really wanted to share with you. Not only the particular work that the people at Casas André Luiz are doing, but I think it's the principle. It's the principle. It's using not only digital tools or whatever, but going the extra mile and trying to bring dignity and voice to people who definitely can teach us a lesson. So I hope this story, have inspired you too, and I hope it somehow inspires people that are not Portuguese speaking people who could watch the video themselves to think about something similar. That's it. René de Paula Jr., São Paulo, Brazil. Thank you.